Welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. I'm your host, Queen Frostbitten, and we're here today to get down, dirty, and sultry by staying open, educated, consensual, and safe. If you're returning, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for supporting the channel and its growth. If, of course, you're new here, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe, because one taste will never be enough.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for coming back to visit with another episode of Forbidden Depths. Today, we have an amazing, very talented individual. I'll go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is London Rose. It is great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So, London, I'm going to go ahead and ask you the question I know everyone on here wants to know. What do you do? What do you consider yourself?
I consider myself an adult entertainer, and that just comes in a few different forms, I suppose you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like that's a good word to cover it all.
Yeah, like a broad spectrum. Like I noticed that about your content too. And I also noticed that you were self-booking, which doesn't happen very often. So that was actually my first question for you. I know that you do self-booking and not everyone does because it is so stressful. Like it is hard to be your own agent and everything else. So how do you manage that?
I have done both sides. I have had agents. I do have a publicist, so that helps out a little bit.
Okay.
Sometimes he helps with like forms and things that I don't want to do.
Okay.
Matter of fact, the one for the show today, I did myself, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so stressful. Like I'm not this person. I can do a lot of other things, but paperwork and internet stuff, not so much. So yeah, I have done the agent route.
Mhm.
It is convenient. It makes things a bit easier, I'd say, but it also, comes with strings attached. And for the past, a year or so, I've been self-booking, and I prefer that so far for it.
Nice, nice. So I know that, of course, it entails more work on your end, but does it make you like feel more involved in the work, like you know more of what's going on?
Yeah, I feel like I have more control, and I
Mhm.
kind of like that aspect of it. And then I can just kind of not feel obligated so much to do things.
Right.
I just reach out to people that I want to work with more so than
Mhm.
just having random things offered to me, and just, does that make any sense? So that's
Yes, 100%. So I've noticed there have been several people that I talk to that have an agent that do booking and stuff, and they kind of have the same take. It's like you have this like list and you can look at the list, and sometimes you kind of feel pressured to because you're like, well, this is what I'm offered and I better take it because it's what I'm offered. So kind of booking yourself, you get to be like, well, I like this more, so this is what I'm going to book.
right, exactly. I feel like there is a obligated feeling when you have an agent that when you're offered something, you should just, you need to take it. Whereas you don't have to do that when you're self-book. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I got to ask you a kind of personal question. How are you liking the move? I noticed that you moved. Are you loving it?
I am loving it, but that's why I'm shifting the camera around a little bit at the moment. Sorry. We were chilling on the patio here in Mexico, where I
Mhm.
recently moved to, but now it is like pouring rain. And so I think I'm gonna scoot inside. So we don't like electrocute myself with this phone charger, and yeah. Give me just a moment, but I am loving it. It is another country, right? So
Mhm.
there's a lot of things to learn. It's it is very different. And I think it was the best decision I have
Yeah.
made, because you have to learn, you have to humble yourself, you have to
Mhm.
not you take things for granted,
Right.
I think in the
Yeah.
United States, like um hot water or electricity or
Mhm.
simplicity of like ordering food and
Right.
all of those kinds of things, like things are different. So I live in a rural part of
Mhm.
Mexico, along the coast. So it's beautiful. I wake up to the ocean every day. Like, how
Yeah.
much better can that get?
Yeah.
Starts out amazingly. And the same with every evening. But yeah, it's kind of rainy season right now. So we've
Mhm.
had like days of rain, and we were supposed to have
Oh,
a
yeah.
sunny day today. And I was so excited to be like just soaking in the sun on the patio like I usually do. But no, we'll just come sit in my room instead.
Right. So that kind of leads me to some questions. I know you were talking about the simplicity and kind of respecting, enjoying, and kind of just embracing that. Did you have like a childhood where you were kind of had access to a lot of stuff? Like you didn't have to worry about any of those other things, like the water, the hot water, and the access to everything.
Yeah, I grew up an army brat, so I feel like I
Okay.
was like lucky with that. We traveled around to a lot of different places,
Mhm.
uh, lived in different states, and when you were in the army, you have the option of living on base. So, you
Right.
have like honestly, when you're a military kid and you live on housing, you don't pay utilities and your parents don't pay like rent and utilities. It's just all comes in as a package deal.
Right.
Obviously it's deducted, like there's like allotments for housing or whatever, but
Right.
when you're a certain rank, you get a certain type of housing. And as you go up in rank, you get better housing. And it
Hmm.
all comes with all the utilities. So that was never anything that I had to worry about growing up.
Right.
And not even once I got out on my own, you know.
Hmm.
But in Mexico, it's just like um today I woke up and there was no water. And I was like, okay, well, why is there no water?
Right.
Well, the water is in a giant well and it is filled up by a water truck. So you're supposed to like open this like heavy duty metal lid to this like big concrete hole in the ground and
Hmm.
look and like see how much water you have and keep an eye on it. And I didn't, so mine just
Oh, okay.
ran out. So I had to like call I'm not even going to try to say what the word because I'm not very good. I'm actually gonna go take some tutor classes in a nearby city in the next few weeks. And it costs about 500 to 800 pesos depending on how big your water tank is. And
Mhm.
they look like like 18 wheelers that have gas or something in it. They're round like that. They just have a
Yeah.
huge hose. They pour it in, and once it's full, then they leave. And yeah, I guess for most people it lasts like a month or more. And I went through my whole thing already, and it hasn't even been a month. So maybe less jacuzzi bathtubs, you know. Um, it's not that I can't do that, but I just I want to be more simple. Like I want
Right.
to I realized things like the eating habits or like the food here
Hmm.
is so much different.
Yeah.
I'm eating like it's different, right? Like you, yeah, we could go on and on about that. They cover like cartoons on the boxes of the food. If there's a
Hmm.
cartoon on the box, because that would encourage a kid to eat bad food, so that like things that they don't do in the States, like
That's
the
actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it is kind of really cool. Anything that has like too many calories, like it will like have a warning on it, like that says like excessio or like too much, excessive
Yeah.
sugar, too much, whatever. So they're more health conscious than that kind of thing. I think their produce tastes like so amazing. Um, yeah, and things are cheaper.
Yeah.
Obviously, an American dollar relates more to like the current market. I think it's about 18 Mexican dollars.
Mhm.
So, you know, when you go to the store and you see something and it says like 75 Mexican dollars, when I first came and went grocery shopping, I was so nervous
Yeah.
because I just saw it all in Mexican money. I meant, you
Right.
know, and I was like, okay, this is 75. Like, I don't know exactly how much this is. I'm afraid to buy too much. And
Right.
when I got to the checkout thing, it was like 1,500 Mexican dollars. And I was like, oh God, like I just slid my card and was like, what is this gonna be? And then it was only probably, I want to say maybe like 100 to $150 or something. It was like,
Yeah.
and I had like a whole cart full of food and produce and stuff for that lasted me a couple weeks. So
Yeah.
no more Uber Eats and DoorDash and Postmates and being lazy.
Is there anything like that there?
There is one guy where, at least where I live, there is one gentleman with a motorcycle who will deliver you like chicken wings and pizza from a town that's like 40 minutes away.
Mhm.
And he's the only option, and he doesn't always work. So like if it was like
Mhm.
today, like no, it rained, so I'm not working. So it's
Right.
not, it's a special occasion kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. See, that kind of reminds me, I'm from rural Kentucky, so that's literally like Kentucky. Like, in the southeastern part, like there's no delivery service. Like, you can have option to a well or city water, but you don't have like some kind of tanker that fills it up for you. And so that kind of reminds me a lot of the poorer communities in Kentucky. So that leads me to my next question for you. What sparked your reason to move?
So I had been living in Las Vegas for probably almost like 5 or 6 years, for so quite a while.
Mhm.
Being in like a house in the suburbs, and it just didn't feel like it was just very boring. I was like, here
Mhm.
I am, just me and a couple dogs in
Mhm.
like suburban with like these families and stuff. And so I thought, oh, I'll go move to LA, and that just is gonna be so much fun, and I'll
Mhm.
be right there next to work, and like maybe I'll book a lot of things and it'll just be perfect.
Right.
And um I knew that it would be more expensive, but at the time living in Vegas, and then driving back and forth or flying back and forth to LA, I was getting a lot of bookings at the time. And I was
Mhm.
also doing production assistant work for one of the major directors out here,
Mhm. That's
um,
really cool.
LA. So yeah, I was like in LA all the time. I was like, it just makes more sense. So I moved to LA, and I thought downtown LA would be so cool because it's
Mhm.
like all these tall, beautiful like buildings. I love the classic, you know, it was built in 1900, and all the little like gargoyles and the, you know, like
Mhm.
that whole idea of like walking to Whole Foods and walking the dog every day
Right.
and that. So I moved to downtown LA. It was not the fairy tale that I had imagined it would be. It was more like wake up and there's a meth head peeing
Oh
right in
yeah.
front of the front door, and then you walk past that to walk your dog through God knows what for the next 3 blocks, even though like you're paying over $3,000 a month for a studio, and this is supposed to be a financial district, upper part of downtown LA. It was
Right.
still quite crappy, if I'm allowed to say that on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's, you can say whatever verbiage you like on here. It's not censored.
My car got vandalized a few times, like and
That's
ultimately
crazy.
lived in my building
she like a homeless person asked her if she had a cigarette and she said an extra one. She said no. They didn't like stole her phone, pushed her down, her arm broke in 3 places. I mean, there was just like
Goodness.
multiple situations like that. And I was like, it's spending entirely too much money
Yeah.
and the headache of it all, and the worry. So I was just like, okay, at least that part of LA was not for me.
Right.
And I started to think of where I'd want to go when my lease ended. And I came to vacation in Mexico in South Baja. And I was just like blown away by the people. I think first thing was like realizing, I don't know, we can be led, I think, as people or as a society, if we're told something enough
Mm-hmm.
and to like have preconceived notions of something. And I think a lot of times we're told as Americans that like other countries are scary and bad and
Oh
they're
yeah. You hear horror stories all the time.
like we're the best, like, and I'm not like being anti-American in any way. I'm thankful to be
Right.
an American, right? And I just think that like we aren't very humble as a country and like pretty like put down other countries. So I wanted to experience like traveling to other places, and one of the places I traveled to was Mexico. And I was down, like a vacation city, but it was just like I went into the town and stuff, and like the people were so different, and they
Yeah.
were so kind and just so sweet. And they weren't even, I like went on little buses and stuff to like that locals do, things that like the tourists don't do. So like just trying to like see what it was like, and
Right.
just like a vibe that it's hard to explain, but I was just like, this is awesome. And I just started kind of looking at housing prices, and when I saw like what housing prices were, like I was like, fuck yeah, I'm about to move down there, and I'll just give it a shot because it's worth it. And it ended up being like more than I could have like hoped for. I just have it's only been over about a month or so. And it's not all easy, that
Right.
I'll get to like, I chose to live in a rural part of Mexico, and I live on like a mountaintop, legit. And I decided not to bring my car, to leave it parked in a garage in LA, because I didn't want to stand out. Like, as somebody with a US plate, you can drive in Mexico, you can just get like a Mexico insurance and you can drive, but I feel like it puts a target on yourself. You're just standing out there, obviously, that you're a foreigner. The police pull you over and then you have to pay a lot of bribes. Like, that's like probably like the #1 crime, if you want to say, like, out here, is like the extortion by the police. Like, they'll just pull you over for no reason, and then if you're American, they'll just make you pay like whatever you have on you, or like you get caught with weed, they'll like freak you out and make you think they're taking you to jail, and then they'll really take you to an ATM first in most cases and be like,
That's crazy. Oh my goodness, I did not know this.
$100 or give us some money, or we're taking you to jail. And like, you obviously panic and you like, you pay whatever they say, but you can negotiate it down. So like, if you ever visit, now you know. Oh no,
I will carry that information with me if I go to Mexico.
So like, that's probably, I just wanted to blend in. I also wanted to work on my fitness, and I thought, like, if I live on this like mountaintop in this rural part, and I have to like do a bunch of hiking anytime I want to go into town, like it's like I can hire a cab to come pretty close to like to the bottom of my gated community, but it's still like quite a hike. It's like
Right.
half a mile to the gate. So yeah, it's good for me. I'm outside all the time. I'm hating it and
Do you grow
cussing.
a garden or anything? I love gardens.
I do not have a garden, but I have this entire, my Wi-Fi will cut out if I take it up there, but I have an entire rooftop and it is huge. Like we're talking bigger than my studio in downtown LA, like over probably, I don't know, 1,200-1,500 square foot of just nothing but rooftop.
Oh, fucking nice.
I want to like put a little like rooftop garden thing,
Yes.
at least like a little herb one, like,
That would be amazing.
yeah. I couldn't bring seeds. That's something you cannot bring. Like there's certain things you can't bring from the US to Mexico, and seeds are one of them. Because I had already thought of like bringing a whole garden setup with me.
Right.
But I realized I couldn't do that. I have to buy it here. So I
Yeah.
haven't.
Is there some kind of like reason for that? Do they just not want certain stuff growing there, or?
I don't know. And okay, so there was a lot of things I stressed about when I moved, like because I wanted to do a bunch of research.
Right.
Excuse the broken nails. I don't live close to a nail salon anymore. So there I did a lot of research about like what I needed to do, like what my pets needed to travel to Mexico, like what I needed legally, like what I could bring, what I couldn't bring. And there were things like if you bring a plant, you can only bring up to like 18 plants. I think it was 12 or 18, and they cannot be in their soil. They have to be completely uprooted and in a plastic bag. And like there's a whole bunch of rules. And I have a lot of plants, indoor plants and some outdoor plants. And I was like, I am not leaving them behind. Like I've had these babies for years. They're like my babies, I'm not leaving them. So I brought them and I actually didn't even take them out of their soil. I did one trip across the border with like a truck, like a friend drove me, and we filled it and we had a bunch of plants, and they actually stopped us because, well, I think I did 3 trips, but anyway, they stopped us because they said everything smelled like weed. And so I was like, well, I smoke a lot of weed in LA, but I don't have any weed. I promise. Like, it's just LA. My stuff smells like LA. That's what LA smells like. And I tried to think of it. They cut open every single box and like literally didn't even find like a crumb, because obviously it was not stupid. But apparently some of my things, maybe even my house plants, smell like pot. But yeah, like the plants all had soil in them. They didn't say anything. I've also like brought plants over in a wagon, just like with their soil, like just walking across the border. And they haven't said anything. So yeah, there's some things that they tell you like you have to do, and then they don't even
They're more lax. Yeah.
So, but better be safe than sorry.
Yes, 100%, 100%. So kind of how does that change you as an actress? So I know that you still do a lot of bookings. I actually saw you post a little while back that you were doing some booking in LA and Vegas. So how does that kind of change your business? Do you only travel back for acting? Is there any like positions down there? Like, do any companies travel over there and then book you there?
So I'm making it a habit of like pretty much going to LA about once a month. So or Vegas, and like setting up my bookings just kind of like all at the same time. And that's seemed to work. But I haven't booked like I have a couple scenes that are coming up that I've got booked for in April. So that's something to look forward to. But I think the last one I did wasn't since like last fall, or maybe like, yeah, I think it's been a minute, October or November.
Okay.
is kind of behind on that. And really I just I got to such like kind of a depressed state in LA that I didn't
Yeah.
even want to like book anything. I
Right.
didn't feel like confident in booking in anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't like how I looked in the stuff that was coming out because I was having to portray a character and like it was not what I wanted to do so much. Right. So I'm getting all the MILF roles and like that's cool and that's fun. And I love that there's fans that like that.
Right.
But I would have just rather been just booked as myself. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it does.
but or I'd rather be booked for like more bondage or different unique stuff than the
Mhm.
whole stepmom scenarios over and
Yeah.
over again. It started
Right.
to get old. So I just kind of like took a break and um I did my own little content, but not a whole lot of it either.
Mhm.
And I think that that was part of like the move to Mexico was knowing that I'm going to be like in a beautiful area. I love being out
Mhm.
in nature. I love, I grew up for many years in Hawaii. So this kind of like reminds me a little bit of like
Yeah.
childhood feelings and stuff. So like happiness. And I thought like it would inspire me to make content and
Right.
also what the fuck else am I going to do other than
Yeah.
going to the beach and hanging out outside? Like I'm not like just like down the road from going to a big city to just like go hang out or I don't know
Right.
here. So it kind of forces me to have to like be creative and focus on making new stuff and
Mhm.
being myself. And yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past few months.
Yeah.
So
The really cool thing about that, though, you taking time off helps you. So I know you were kind of talking about being burnout on those roles. What do you do that kind of helps you get back on track or kind of helps you keep from getting burnt out? I know you took some time off, but is there anything else that you do that kind of helps you?
smoke a lot of weed.
Okay.
No, I just yeah, I think that there's this huge fear in adult entertainment
Mhm.
that we fear taking time off, right? We're
Mhm.
told that if you're not available for these scenes and you like say no to directors, like you're not going to get the opportunity again
Yeah.
and everyone's going to forget about you and you will
Oh,
become
yeah.
irrelevant. And that is this huge like push that nobody ever talks about or says, but it is like this. I'm sure everyone feels that way.
Oh, yeah.
But the truth is, you can just kind of walk away and
Mhm.
like take care of yourself first, put
Yeah.
yourself first, whether that's like through like working out or like eating better or just being overall healthy, taking time for yourself and just staying off the internet, not booking scenes, not worrying about the fact that the DMs are piling up in OnlyFans
Right.
and now because there's like 392 that you still need to read, like
Oh,
it
yeah.
can, yeah, you can think like once you take a break you can't come back from that, but the truth is you can. And I feel like I'm on the verge of coming back and
Mhm.
not there yet. I just put myself back out there for
Right.
filming. Um, and I'm just starting to like get more daily about making content and posting.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm doing it because I have the desire to. And I think that
Right.
shows up in your work. So
Yes. Oh my
one
goodness. I said the
thing
same thing.
for any other girls out there, it's okay to take a break. It's okay. Guess what? The fans that are true fans, they're still gonna be there.
Yeah.
Even if you only, are taking and posting once a week or twice a month, or you know what I mean, or you haven't
Yeah.
filmed in 6 months, guess what? Like the fans are still gonna be there, or they're still even gonna grow. And
Right.
you you can come back. Like it doesn't have to be like, oh no, like I can never come back because I took too
Yeah.
long and now
Or I
nobody.
lost everything. No one loves me anymore. No one wants to see me anymore. Because I've noticed that too. A lot of people, especially people with like chronic illnesses, they have to take more time for themselves. And I have seen so many people try to shame those people. And the biggest thing that I've seen is, yeah, you might only have a few consistent people that are like checking on you every single day, even if you don't respond back or whatever. But it doesn't mean that those other people aren't going to be there too. It's just a matter of once they see you started getting active again, they're going to be right back there. It's just, I think that there's so much stress, and they put huge importance on making sure you're showing up every single day. Like you have to be available 24/7. And mentally, that's not feasible. That's why a lot of people burn out. You know what I mean?
Right. I think that's what my fans that have definitely stuck around, and there's plenty of them that I've booked before. They know that because I talk a lot on Snapchat and very candid on there, and I just
Right.
say like, I'm not a robot. Like, don't
Yeah.
don't message me 20 times in a row and expect me to respond. Like, be respectful of me as a human being. I am a human being.
Yes.
Treat me, obviously, and not in a weird way, but like treat me like as if I were your sister, your mother, or
Yeah.
some other woman in your life that you knew. Like, as far as respect, like, I don't know. That's why I have definitely struggled with the whole creating your own content. Not that creating your own content, that's awesome, and making
Right.
money off of that is awesome. However, it took away a novelty of like before. I'd always been like an escort and worked at the bunny ranch. So like I
Mhm.
was only available to be seen during these dates, during these times. And
Right.
like, you had to email, and like it was very like, I'm just not accessible all the time, right?
Right.
Time
Yes.
is valuable. It is at this level, at this price, and like this is what you have to pay for it
Right.
to have. And then when I switched into porn, and then comes OnlyFans along with that, right? And the other fan websites, is that you're kind of just expected to just be 24/7, and you're supposed to be accessible. And I think it took it like, I didn't bust my ass as an adult entertainer now for 13 years, like to put myself at where I think my value per hour is, to then dumb it down into just a $4.99 membership, and
Oh
I'm
my
going to
goodness.
respond for you every
Yes.
single day of the month, or of the like.
Mm-hmm.
So I just
Yeah.
try to like tell my fans, like, I love them and I appreciate them, and when I put something out, it's because I wanted to put it out, and like I'm giving it to you as a gift to you.
Mhm.
Like little homemade batch of cookies, here you go, like over the
Yeah.
sending with love. But like, I don't expect me to be a machine and just do stuff and put out as much stuff as
Right.
everyone else does, because that's what they do. If I
Right.
get to the point that I want to do that, like, more power to me, that's
Right.
wonderful. But like, we don't need to set this like norm that everyone has to do that, because they don't.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That reminds me of, there was somebody that signed up for my OnlyFans page, and they were like, oh, well, if I sign up for your $4.99 page, that means I get free sexting, right? And I'm like, no, that is not what that means. And they were like, well, this person does it. And I was like, well, that's not what I do. I was like, why not ask what I offer instead of being like assuming that I'm giving you all of this extra time? Because I started out in fetish modeling. So I didn't start out with sexting and everything else. I literally just did things associated with being a dominatrix. So these people come to me and they're like, well, this person offers this and this person offers this. And I'm trying to explain, well, I'm not that person. If you want that, go to that person. It's cool, like no hard feelings. But to come to somebody's page and be like, oh, well, this person offers this because this other person does, like that seems ludicrous to me. And the fact that so many people don't understand that there are different avenues to sex work, right? I know you said that you did escorting and then you got over into being an actress. So I think a lot of people blur the lines. They don't understand that there are lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are like different like genres, different little like chunks, I guess, of us, and like everybody's not the same. But I think that it was kind of again, like somehow pushed on or made to the societal norm to think that everybody's is supposed to be the same. It's like we should all be like putting out the same amount and sleeping with the same people and like wearing the same Sheen lingerie,
Yeah.
doing our hair the same way. And I just like I felt like banging my head up against a wall. So I just decided like, no, I'm gonna go live my life where
Mhm.
I want to live it, look how I want to look, and be me. And what gets booked, and what I make, I make,
Yeah.
and I will be happier with that. And honestly, like, yeah, my money, I think it works out better that way for me
Yeah.
because it um yeah, I just like keep my circle small. I got a small group of loyal fans, you know, that I'm
Mhm.
thankful for. And I do still like do bookings, both privately and with films. So
Right.
um yeah, between just like my fan base and like maybe like one booking a month, I pay my bills and I'm good.
Yeah.
So not to I try not to put too much pressure on it. Like
Right.
people I've like I said, I've been in sex work for 13 years. So
Mhm.
I have been there and done that. I have like hustled for the, 16, 18 hours, like or how
Mhm.
like running around and been all about buying the Louis and the Gucci and having the red bottoms and worrying about like everybody else's opinion. And
Right.
I've done this, been there, done it, and it's cool, it's fun, but there's definitely more to life. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing and hoping that my future content will reflect.
Yeah. I fucking love it. I fucking love it. So that kind of reminds me of a question that I have for you. Kind of what got you into sex work? How did you find your way here?
So I wanted to be in sex work probably as soon as I saw that it was really a thing, right?
Okay.
So you remember back, I mean, I don't know, I'm probably much older than you, but there was a time when there was a show called Girls Next Door. It was a Playboy show and it was on like cable TV.
Mhm.
I don't even remember like what channel or anything, but it was like on late at night. So I grew up in a very religious home. I
Mhm.
describe it a lot with Amish or Mennonite.
Oh yeah.
We really didn't like have a TV like even in the house.
Mhm.
Until I remember like when 9/11 happened, we like borrowed a TV from the neighbor and then we ended up getting one because my parents thought we needed one for an emergency. Like
Right.
that's so I went majority of my life like not being around. But when it was around and I got to find this show like, late at night or whatever, and I was watching it, I was just like, these girls are getting paid to be blonde and dumb and
Mhm.
like sexy. And that's who, oh no. Oh, it went black for a minute. I thought my phone died. I was like, how could it have gotten so low? So um yeah, I saw that show and thought like they're fucking geniuses.
Yeah.
Like they're playing a role and people really think they're like that dumb, but they're actually like really smart and they're making money. And so like I just saw that like very early on and was like, yeah, like I'm gonna try that. So when I was 18, I flew to Chicago for this Playboy casting call,
Mhm.
and I was like uh, maybe like 110, 115 pounds. Um, the blondes, like Marilyn hair, and I had
Mhm.
got in blue contacts or something. And I went to this thing and I kid you not, they which I found out later, they can't tell you to lose weight. Legally, they can't say that or something,
Yeah.
right? But the lady was like, tone up, and come back again. And I would like
I left there, and I mean, I was like, first off, felt like I felt like a small Kansas girl, like been living in Kansas for years at that
Yeah.
point. And then like Texas and Hawaii before that. So like I always like more of a small town girl. So I felt like when I got to Chicago, I saw these like fucking gorgeous ass women, and I was like, what am I doing here anyway? And then the lady said that to me, and I got home and I was looking at myself like, I'm skinny. Like, should I have to be skinnier? Like, oh, like fuck it. I'm not okay. I'm not cut out for Playboy. So I just like
Right.
gave up. I was like, oh, my idea of being in adult entertainment is just gonna be over. And then technically my start into sex work was like I had got a little sugar daddy in my little town in Kansas. And he was like a little old man. I was a bartender at a bar, and he was a
Mhm.
little came in like every Thursday to play pool and like drink a Dr. Pepper or something. And like he would always ask me out to dinner, and I would always say no. And he was like one time offered to pay for, like, I'll pay you this, like, I think it was like $200 or something if you just go to dinner with me. And I was like, fuck it, right?
Right.
I did, and he was like, let's make this a regular thing, like every, Tuesday night. And I was like, okay, like, I mean, that's an extra couple $100, like every
Right.
week. Like I'm just like hanging out. So it started out very, very innocent, like not even any sexual element to it. Like he was literally so old and had Parkinson's so bad, like no disrespect to him, but like that
Right.
wasn't even like an option. It was just like having some alone time with a
The
girl,
company. Right.
like
Yeah.
companionship. And he had a Lexus, and here I am, like, young, fresh out of high school, and he lets me drive his Lexus. I'm getting a
Mhm.
couple a week. And I was like, oh, this is cool, while I was going to college and bartending. And then I thought, like, I wonder if I moved to a bigger city, then I could like have more sugar daddies than one. And then I
Right.
could have like twice, I could like double this, that was my mind, like what I could double up. So I moved to Kansas City, Missouri, and I did a little stripping, and I got a couple sugar daddies, and I got a sugar daddy. He was kind of one of the reasons I went to Kansas City. Like I went for a job, right?
Mhm.
I was supposed to be a topless bartender for like a Super Bowl or a football party, casino for a private event. And so like that's what I went up to Kansas City for. That guy became my sugar daddy and is still my sugar daddy to this day. And that was like 12 years ago, so
Nice. Yeah.
yeah. So that's where I got my start. And I got a couple of sugar daddies in Kansas City. And then after that, I was watching like YouTube videos or something, and there was like a talk show, and it had like the guest on there was like Dennis Hoff, and like I think his girlfriend at the time. And I was like, who is Dennis Hoff, and like what is the Bunny Ranch?
Right.
And that was the first time I learned about legal prostitution and brothels, and about the Bunny Ranch and the HBO's Cat House show. So I was like, wait, you're telling me these girls like live in a resort and they're just like doing this legally? Like, and they're saying on TV that they're charging like 1,000 or more, like up to like 10,000, like, and I'm only charging like 300, you know what I mean? Like it was like
Mhm.
this game, and I was like, no freaking way. So I told myself if the Royals won the World Series, I would put in an application. And just so happens they won the World Series that year. So I put in my application. I don't know if it's still on there, but on the website, it was like flashing in lights, like be a bunny, be a bunny. And it was the cutest little, like thing to get you to the application thing. So I applied. Like I don't know if it still does it, but when you apply, you get like an email, thanks for your response.
Right.
You or may not hear back from us. A lot of people apply, blah, blah, blah. So I figured it was just going to kind of be like the Playboy thing. It would just be like the luck of the draw, like if I heard back. And like 2 days later, I got an email from Dennis. And
I was like, yeah, okay, so this is definitely a scam, because I don't think the owner of the bunny ranch is going to be emailing me, and like definitely not like that quickly. Like I'm just like a Kansas girl
Right.
with like little like clients, like no. So I responded that way, and I was like, yeah, I don't think this is the real person. And so like he FaceTimed me, um, and I was just like, or phone called me maybe, and like it met, the voices matched, and I was like, holy fuck, like Dennis Hoff is like on my line and saying I can work for him, and this is cool. So
Right.
fuck yeah, I'm going with this. So he was like, yeah, I have like 5 different houses. So I've got the Bunny Ranch, and then I have got the Love Ranch down in Vegas, and I got a few different houses, and you can go to this other house. And I said, no, absolutely not. Like, if I'm not at the Bunny Ranch,
Right.
I'm not working in for you. Like, I don't know. Nobody ever heard of these other houses. Like, I'm not gonna be a off-name girl. Like,
Right.
now I think of myself like, how conceited was I when I was young? You really need to get back to that, because so yeah, he was like, oh, okay, fine, then you can come to the bunny ranch. So I was like, okay, deal, then I'm coming. Then I was supposed to go in like a certain time. My grandmother passed away, so I called him and was like, I think my grandmother's passed away, I have to go to Ohio, like
Right.
I'm coming, but I'm coming when I come. Family comes first to me.
Right.
I don't know how you guys operate, but that's what it is. And he's like, no, like take care of your family, of course. So I dealt with that. And then he called me and he was like, hey, I told him when I could come. And he's like, hey, that's crazy. He's like, so do you know who Lisa Ling is? And I was like, yeah, like she's an amazing like female reporter like on CNN. Like I've always loved her. She's always seemed very like genuine and honest, and maybe like a little less partial than some reporters. So anyway, I have always loved her. And I was like, yeah, why? And he was like, well, they're going to do a TV show. You want to be on it? And I was like, what? So I'm about to come to the Bunny Ranch and be on a TV show on CNN. This is like, this can't be true. I really thought I was going to like fly out to Nevada and get punked or something, like picked up by some kind of like, I don't know, shady something, and like be kidnapped. Like I was like, this can't be happening. But I flew to Vegas, stayed the night in Vegas, just so in the morning I could like, I put on like the when I look back on it, if you watch the show, like I had the dumbest blonde wig on and like oh okay, so yeah. Then I flew into Reno, and I get out of the plane, and there's like a whole camera crew there with like all these people, and then everybody on the plane's like looking at me like, well, who is she, like who are people? And Lisa's there, and it was very overwhelming. And then they put you in a limo in the show and like drive you to the bunny ranch, and I'm really meeting the bunny ranch for the first time, and it's really being filmed of like what's happening. So it was kind of like nerve-wracking but cool at the same time. Like what a unique experience to get to go through. So went to work at the bunny ranch and wasn't allowed to. You have to pass certain requirements to be a legal prostitute in Nevada, and I did not meet one of the requirements. So obviously you have to pass STD checks. You get
Right.
STD and HIV tests every 7 days to work in a brothel. I passed those. That's on camera. You have to go to a licensing office, and you have to get a license that literally like says you're a legal prostitute. And they do like a background check, and you can't have like a felony, you can't have certain things. And so you check boxes when you're filling out the paperwork.
Right.
And it got to mine, and it said, do you owe child support? And I checked yes, because I have a child and I was on child support at the time. So I clicked yes, and I was declined. You're not allowed to have child support and be a prostitute in that county of Nevada.
What?
Yeah, so
That seems like a crazy requirement, right?
so I'll never forget Lisa being so upset at the clerk. Like she was like, are you kidding me? Like are you being serious right now? Like, a girl can't be a prostitute and sell her body in order to make income to pay her child support if she has child support? Like, does that, like,
Yeah.
what kind of job doesn't allow you to, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about
Yeah.
prostitute here, not like district attorney.
Well, I mean, even that though, because I mean, that's not a requirement for a district attorney. Like, what is happening? I've never heard of that before.
I just felt like it was like Playboy all over again. Like, I got my
Yeah.
hopes up and this like all was like too real to be true, and then it comes crashing down. So I was so devastated, and I went back to the ranch, and Dennis was like, okay, you've got like 3 options. And I was like, okay, what are they? And like his tiny ass little office with like his dog, and his dog, like, he loved his dog. Like, his dog was everything. It was always there, and it was kind of a dick to all the rest of us, pretty
Yeah.
much. It wasn't, I was like, and I didn't know him. Like, I'm just meeting him too. And so I was like, it's all like awkward and everything. He's
Mhm.
like, I'll pay off your debt, your child support, like whatever you owe, and then you can just pay me back, and then you can work here. He's like, you can go home, go work a regular job, pay it off, and once you get it paid off, let me know and you have a job here. He's like, or you could go work at our Vegas house because it's in a different county and they don't have the same rule. You can owe child support and still be a prostitute there. So I was like, well, I'll go to, and he's like, and I'll fly you tonight, like on the flight down to Vegas. And I was like, okay. If you're any of your viewers, or you remember when Lamar Odom overdosed at a brothel, that was at Love Ranch, Vegas, which is where I went to go work. So I went to go work when all of that happened, and it was all chaos and craziness that I stepped into. And I worked at the ranch for a couple of years, and my dogs lived at the ranch with me. I kind of like asked Dennis if they could, and he was like, I've had this ranch for like, I don't remember, 30, 50, whatever years. Like, nobody's ever bring their dog, not even Amy. Air Force Amy is like a big deal there. It was a big deal. And I was like, well, I'm my dogs. Like, I did the show for you, and like,
Right.
like, you owe me. And so like, I just brought my little Chihuahua and my Shih Tzu with me, and they ended up being like the greatest thing. Like, everybody loved the fact that there was dogs, because girls would just come knock on my door and be like, can I borrow Nellie, or can I borrow Tuna? Like, if they needed a little companion or
Right.
it was like, it was good for the whole house. Working at the brothel was, it wasn't like living in a glamorous resort. But it was like meeting really unique clients, because they come from like all different places. Specifically because it's legal, so like, you do deal with people who, like, you'd be surprised would come there. They do, because they don't want to risk their jobs or like whatever. And the rates that they pay. So it was cool, but you had to give up 50% of your income of every booking, plus you had to pay room and board. And after like a couple of years of that, I was like, it's kind of like dumb. Why am I living in a sorority with like a bunch of girls and like arguing with them? And like Dennis and I kind of like, he would like have a couple little girlfriends, like we all knew there's a few of us, and like we'd get special gifts, and we'd get to do special like podcasts or TV shows, and like we'd get things, and like we'd get trade-offs, right? Like, but then we'd have to like sleep with them and stuff. So rest in peace, Dennis, but let's keep it real. Okay.
Right.
So Dennis was always, we were always cool, but he hated that I smoked weed, and I am a stoner. Since like the first day I smoked weed, I was like, I'm never stopping.
Right.
And I never stop. So yeah, I was like, I'm not compromising on that. I will walk a mile out into the desert away from the ranch to smoke, and I will douse myself with Body Fantasy cotton candy, like
nauseous smell ever. Like, I'll do whatever you want, but I'm not gonna stop. And so we'd always butt head about that. He even bought a little trailer and put it like a little like RV, and he put it behind the ranch. He was like, you could smoke your pot in there. Like, before, I miss him. It was a wonderful experience, and he taught me a lot. And surprisingly, I think people might find funny is he's a brothel owner, he's a pimp, right? And like, he's about sex work, but what he taught me and what has actually helped me, I think, legit, two things maybe. He said, don't ever put your pussy on a pedestal, like pedestal, right? Like, don't think like that you're better than anyone else,
Right.
no matter like whatever you get to, like whatever you make, you're all, everyone's the same. And he was like, you will make more if you aren't too sexy. So girls would always like show up in like a whole lingerie set and stripper heels and full face makeup and hair.
Yeah.
And like, when these guys would walk in, it's their first experience, so it's new and overwhelming anyway. Then they
Right.
have like 10 to 12 girls standing in front of them, all lined up, half naked,
Super
you know.
flashy. Yeah.
And they would like they would want it, of course, like everything is beautiful, they want all of it, but it would
Right.
be like, oh my gosh, too much. But if you were like in a pair of like little ballet flats and like just like the most like normie looking one, for some reason you get picked a lot. So I would just kind of like purposely kind of just wear like ballet flats and like little pencil skirts with like a bra, or like, you know what I mean? Like just
Right.
something that was like, I was still like showing a little but hiding a lot.
Mhm.
And I got booked a lot. You would get like on the website, you'd get put on the top earner of the month. I got top earner a bunch of times. Like, I enjoyed it. I've always
Yeah.
enjoyed sex work. I random things, like somebody comes to the bunny ranch literally just to lose their virginity because they're in their 30s and it hasn't
Yeah.
happened to them yet, and they figure like, why not go with somebody who knows what they're doing, and like, you just you get unique cases like that. And so
And that's fucking awesome. Like,
It is.
anybody listening that is in that situation, there's no shame in that. I've known a lot of people that do that. And quite honestly, I love that myself. That's like, if I want an interaction, I want it to be with somebody that I know that cares about that. I know they care about the work. I know it's not this random person. I don't know what they've been up to. I don't know what they've been doing. I want to go to somebody that knows what they're doing, that can provide kind of the atmosphere that I need. And I know a
Right.
lot of people do that. It comes with a price, but let me tell you, it's worth that price. I feel
Right.
like it's worth that price.
Yeah, I had a client there, and I probably talked about this on a podcast before, but I don't even remember what he had. His like dad and aunt they flew all the way in from like Atlanta, Georgia or something. He
Mhm.
had not a contagious disease, but a disease that made him like essentially like paraplegic, like he was in a wheelchair. So he
Mhm.
was like fully cognitive. He was there, like he, like he could talk and communicate. He was like, yeah, almost 40. Nobody's ever gonna probably have sex with him. Like his parents, I guess he had that talk with his dad, right? Like he was like, look, it's not gonna happen. Nobody's going to like do
Right.
that. And his dad knew it. And so his dad was like, I don't want my son to like go through being a man and
Yeah.
not experience that at least like once. So they saved up for a long time just to come to the ranch. And I like, it makes me emotional because like for
Yeah.
real, like I happen to be the one that was picked, and like I like take like honor in the fact that I was able to like provide joy to somebody that like
Right.
nobody else would ever have paid attention to. And yes, like we can talk logistics and say I was getting paid for it, but at the same hands, like I could have after being picked, I could have said no. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I didn't want to, but I find joy in providing experiences like that. I am
Yeah.
actually going to LA soon to have something very similar like that, an experience, and I find it very sweet and endearing that somebody would entrust that with me, and I try to make it the best that I can, like organic and
Right.
being and nurturing and what it should be.
I fucking love it. I fucking love it.
So,
And I did not know that about you, so that's extra points.
so I guess like really like when that's why you asked what I would describe myself, I just say adult entertainer because like I would say 50% of my income would come from like one escorting date a month. Maybe because I just have some regulars that I've had for years on end. A chunk of my bills are paid from the sugar daddy that I told you about from 13 years ago, 12 years ago. Like, and then I make a little online content money. And when I'm lucky, I sprinkle in some mainstream films. When I was at the Bunny Ranch, I met Sunny Lane, who was like an OG porn star, and she would do bookings there once a month. It was like this whole special occasion, like when Sunny Lane came, like the porn star Sunny Lane's gonna be in the house. We have to have the suite ready for her, like I was so nervous the first time she came. I was like, oh my God. And like I was like top earner, so I was in the suite like across the hall from her. Like that was my room. Oh, and plus I had just 2 dogs, so I just had to have a bigger room,
Right.
but again, we had got little perks if you had sucked your boss's dick. So I was in the room across from Sunny and I got to know her, and she was like the most humble and chill and like coolest vibe person ever. And we are still like good friends. Like actually she like she's like has like a pinpoint of my actual location 24 hours a day. We talk every few days. Like it's been a long friendship and it's had its ups and downs. She's called me out on my bullshit before, and so that was how I kind of met somebody in porn. And she did not encourage me in any way to join porn. She didn't even tell me what to do. She never gave me a contact. I never asked her, but I started following her, and then I started following other porn stars. And so my Twitter was just this little bunny ranch with like, a couple hundred followers maybe. And like, I started following porn, and I think there's something about laying low and quiet and just watching what everyone does and learning an industry before hopping into it. So for like a couple years, I just kind of like did my escorting thing in Vegas, and I would like just watch how porn worked. And so then I reached out to people and I self-booked my first scene. And so I booked my first scene with a mainstream company with spankmonster.com. And at the time, I think they were ranking like in the top 5 or 3 on Pornhub. Like they were a pretty good website. And so I thought that was like really cool. And it was a great experience. And, it paid about what a date would have paid. I was like, yeah, cool. And then who was my first one? 101 agency reached out to me, and I was like, oh my God, like they want me, like what? So and then I also like, a guy reached out who was a publicist, and I was like, a publicist? I need a publicist, what? And I did all of that, and then I got a bunch of bookings, and the thing is, like, I didn't think, okay, actually, you got time today? You got a minute?
We got all the time. We got all the time.
Tea. During COVID, okay, so I started, my idea was like, I am going to get some liposuction at the beginning of 2020, and I'm going to feel super confident. And like, I'm going to go and try my hand into porn now, right? Like, I'm going to try this new thing. So 2020 happens. and I have liposuction. Literally, I'm like the last surgery that they're willing to do before they shut it all down because of COVID.
Right.
So then like my idea of starting porn was kind of like crushed because how can I, like, they're not filming.
Yeah.
So I told you I'd been following everybody on social media, and so some porn people started following me back just because like maybe Sunny Lane was a mutual or somebody else was a
Right.
mutual, and that's kind of how it works. And
Yeah.
and so I was following people and they were following me, and this photographer said he was gonna go shoot with a huge name porn star. Like she was one of my like, I'm sad to say it now, but like embarrassed slightly to say it now, but she was like one of my porn idols. Like I was like, if I were to be into porn and could like turn into some magical fucking creature looking like that, like that's what I would want to be.
Mhm.
So he's like, I'm doing a photo shoot with her. You want to come over and like, you know, you can like make content with her. It's like free. And like, what the fuck? Yeah. So I went and got tested for the first time, and I was like headed to this like super big name, like porn star's house. And I get there and I meet her in person, and I'm like, you know, I can't even speak. I'm just like staring at her like, holy shit. Like she's like as gorgeous in person as she is on all like the porns and like the pictures
Mhm.
all the time. So she ended up getting in a fight with the photographer, like while she was in the makeup chair. Long story, like, no, like he never even took any photos of her.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna just head on out, you know, thank you.
Right.
Sorry, you know, like this is weird. And then she was like, hey, how fast can you type? And I was like, I don't know, like why? And she was like, well, do you want to work for me? Like, I need an assistant. And I was like, work for you? Fuck yeah. COVID, like we're not getting many opportunities to do much. Like, heck
Right.
yeah. So I started working for her as her personal assistant, and it lasted for like only a couple weeks because I was like, I can't pretend to like play along with these diva antics. Like, I get
Yeah.
that you are what you are, but like, you don't have to be stupid and demeaning. And like, she was like, do you have an OnlyFans? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, you should like, I don't know if she wanted me to create a new one or like put myself under hers, right? So she get like a
Oh
certain
yeah.
amount of percentage. And I said, well, I want to actually start in porn someday. And I don't want to do that because if I were to ever like gain a fan base, I would hate to be giving up an extra percentage.
Right.
I would feel, this is literally what I said. I said, I would feel like you were pimping me out. And she
Yeah.
like lost it. And she was like, how dare you say that to me? Ah, da, da, da. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I
Yeah.
still haven't got my paycheck that I've been waiting a couple of days for. So Miss Baller, like, go ahead and send me my money and like I'm out.
Yeah.
And she ended up like egging my house. Like I'm telling you, she's just like
What the fuck?
substances and like like fucking crazy. So yeah,
Yeah.
don't look at idols because it'll be super fucking disappointing
Yeah.
to realize who they really are, because nobody's
Sometimes they look better online.
yeah. Sometimes the personality doesn't match the fake face and ass, but
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, and that reminds me, like I've talked to several people that have someone else not only being their assistant, but doing the sexting or the chatting online with their platforms. So not everybody self-manages, not everybody self-books.
Oh, and
So
that's the thing is all these people, this girl.
oh, we're cut out.
Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah, it's like it buffered for a second.
Sorry about that. Let's say like he was pulling in like millions of dollars, right?
Mhm.
So like there were like people that we see on TV like DMing her, really thinking they were talking to her, right? Even like celebrities like reaching out to her. And like you would know that because they would send so like, you know, like anyway, and they were marked high priority. Long
Right.
story short, it was never her. It was never her. Do you
Yeah.
know how hard it was to like get her to like get together enough to like have one solid train of thought to like do this like set of selfies? Do you know how many times like she would be like, if somebody wanted feet pics, she would be like, how big are your feet? Like, let's like, will you just take the pics of your feet and send them? Like, what the, so that was half of my job as her assistant, was sitting on there. She would have like 4 people hired practically 24 hours a day, sitting at a table in her house with different laptops, just responding to DMs, pretending to be her. So like, it just it makes this unrealistic expectation. And so there are management companies that popped up who literally do that. They hire teams to
And
sit
they
there.
get paid hella money too.
And so OnlyFans is taking a percentage. Plus,
Yeah.
then the people that are running companies pretending to be us to respond to our DMs so we can keep up with the fans so they can feel special for $4.99. I refuse. Like, I'm kind of an anti-establishment kind of person, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why
Well, you got to
I'm
look at the personal level too. Like if you show up at like a convention or something and you're talking to someone and they're like pouring their heart out, like, yeah, we talked about it online for hours. And then you're like, I have no fucking idea who you are. You just crushed that motherfucker because they're
Right.
like, well, I gave you everything. And you're like, yeah, no, I don't know who you are. See you later. Thanks. And then they're
Yeah.
like their life just went to complete shit because they thought they had that connection with you. I like that personal touch. I like the personal level. And I don't have anything against people that hire, other people to speak for them, because I mean, there are people that have fan pages that are fucking forever long. But realistically, whenever you have someone else that is replying to these 24/7 all the time, then they expect that from smaller people, like
Mhm.
accounts that have like, under 100 followers. Like they don't
Like,
have that money to pay a team.
but even 100, a couple hundred like followers, that's a lot to keep up with as like a single person, like making content, responding. Like people are DMing you on IG, on Twitter, on OnlyFans, on
Mhm.
Snap, they found you on, like Pinterest, like all the kinds of places. And it just, yeah, the internet is a crazy thing, right? It has
Yeah.
made it so that like
It makes people feel entitled too. Like they feel like they have access to you in your life 24/7 because you should be available instantly,
Right. Yeah. And like, yeah, no, it's not for
So-
me.
So I know you were talking about earlier, you did bartending, and was there any other like vanilla jobs that you had?
I was a secretary for an architecture firm for a while in college. And then I actually was a supervisor for a Sprint call center for a while. And then I just like went and did bartending and I loved it. It was like, oh, I can take a few shots. And it was kind of like a Coyote Ugly situation. I
Right,
could
yeah.
get some tips, like you get your regulars. And yeah, it was fun to be young and like have a job like that. And I mean, I guess I wouldn't have met Mr. Old Cliff and
Yeah.
got to drive his Lexus, and now I probably wouldn't be living in Mexico. So I don't know. It's kind of funny how like life turns out and like the choices you make and where it leads.
Yeah, 100%. So that kind of leads me to my next question. We've kind of talked about the differences in like you having different jobs. How is it different from a 9-to-5 job? So if you were doing a comparison for working for yourself as an actress or a 9-to-5.
I don't think I could do a 9-to-5 job anymore. Well, I went and did one. When I was in LA,
Mhm.
I kind of started like messing around with civilian guy, like a non-industry guy, and he
Mhm.
owned a business. And I eventually started working for him. And so it was the first time like having a regular 9-to-5.
Right.
It was like 10 hours a day and it was a huge adjustment. I seriously wholeheartedly think people that work regular 9-to-5 jobs and do that kind of like you know basic jobs that have to be done, like, because it is not easy. I'm thankful that I am afforded to work on my own schedule, because there was something nice about the routine of it, right? Like having a routine and like knowing what to expect. It's kind of going to be the same thing every day, and
Yeah,
you put in
right.
these
hours, and then you get free time. And so I kind of like liked the monotony for a minute, but I also was like, oh my goodness, I haven't done this in so many years. Like I am so thankful I don't do this. Yeah, I think that's probably like my landlords, they haven't never asked what I do for a living actually. Here in Mexico, but they probably wonder like, how is she just like sitting around in the sun all day? Like what, like what people ask me, like my family, like, which sometimes I'm like, why do you guys ask these dumb questions? This is so dumb. Like you're like, how are you gonna make money in Mexico? Like the same way I made money in LA. Like it's only like it's a little bit of a, trust me, it's a drive. I mean, it's like a day of dedication worth of like traveling by a taxi and then traveling by a bus and then traveling by a train just to get to like a client or a film set. But I'd rather do that. Like it's fine. But yeah, I'm sure they wonder like, why is she? I mean, I think my neighbor even wondered, we already had this discussion because I have a neighbor and he's probably like maybe my age, around my age, and he just like is at home all day. Like he's an American from Vegas. I mean, I shouldn't put his business out there, but like, and then he has a cat and he just is like home all day. And I was like, I'm so nosy. I was like, I wonder what he does. Like, why is this? Maybe does he take feet pics? Like, who knows? Why is he just home all the time? So one day we were like having a little chat on the patios, and I think I asked him, and I was like, what do you do? Like, do you work from home or what? And he told me what he does, like something online, but not feet pics, not anything like online industry. And he was like, why? What do you do? And I was like, well, I'm an adult entertainer and porn actress. And he was like, the fuck? What? Yeah, so that's I just sit here, and he was like, oh, cool. So yeah, we just kind of like both just sit around and like do our own things, which is practically I hang out with dogs, he hangs out with cat, and we hike around and go to the beach and live this simplistic, boring lifestyle on the top of a mountain, but it's kind of cool. So
Yeah. Peaceful.
I'm starting up surfing lessons in like a week.
Ooh.
I'm excited about it.
So I was going to ask, whenever you started your transition, I know you said that you're getting a tutor. Did you know any Spanish that could help you like communicate?
Like to count to 10, to ask where the bathroom is, hello and goodbye, like how are you doing? Yeah, like some basics, that was it. Like so it's challenging. I rely on my translator on my phone a lot.
Okay.
I type something in and show them, and then they'll usually take my phone and they'll type it in and hand it back to me. In situations like when I go to like the nail salon or to the salon, like that's what I've had to do. Or like the grocery store, because there are plenty of people here, obviously, that don't speak any English, majority.
Right.
But you can find on rare occasions people that do speak English, and like it's like kind of a little bit refreshing when you do. You're like, oh, like I can say something and somebody's gonna know. Like I said something under my breath because like there's a rural bus system a ways from my house. Like I have to take a hike to get to it, but like the people from like out in the country ride it to get into the nearest town. And so I was riding on it, and it was like they pack in. I mean, like the buses, if it's driving by and there's somebody on the side, just because we're at full capacity doesn't mean we're leaving them. Everybody's coming, no one, no one left behind or forgotten. So we're all shoved in there. And I think under my breath at one time, I was just like, oh my God, like it is so hot. And like a guy behind me was like, or I was like, oh my God, it's so busy. And the guy behind me spoke English, and he was like, yeah, it always is from this time to this time, because it's when the school gets out and like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh fuck, like I gotta be careful because some people, not that I said anything bad, I wouldn't have anything bad, but yeah, I was just kind of like, oh fuck.
oh, hi. And then, you know, him asking, like, being able to like communicate with me or like asking questions is always cool when you can communicate with me. My,
Yeah.
I use the same driver. I found like a cab driver the first time I visited the area because I like visited on vacation. Then I loved it. So I started researching housing and I found this place and I came out and like came and stayed for a night and a
Mhm.
day just to like see if it was real, see what it was
Right.
really like before committing to it. And then yeah, I met a cab driver then who doesn't speak any English at all,
Mhm.
but he's so sweet and kind and like tolerant of me. And so I
Yeah.
just always use him. And you know, you pay like generously. A cab ride, even a long cab ride, might be like 30 or $40. And like you throw like a $10 tip on there. So like maybe you spend $50. Like we're
Mhm.
talking about like an hour drive, okay? Somebody driving with for
Yeah.
$50. First off, that's not gonna happen in the States. Uber's not
Yeah.
gonna be $50 for somebody driving for an hour.
Hell
They're
no.
not kind and like
That's
stuff
like at
like
least 150.
right. So and like when you pay them that, like you just made like their whole day. Like that's like a large amount for them. Like I
Yeah.
apparently what I didn't know is I didn't know if it's true or not, but like the water man is coming up the hill. I so I told you like I think I read online and I don't know if it's true, but like the average Mexican makes something like 10 American dollars a day, like in comparison.
Mhm.
So I mean, if that were to be true, like imagine paying somebody 50 for an hour drive, which to us is like a great discount.
Right.
And like you're paying them like I mean, they always tell me like stop doing that. You're like fucking it up for the expats because you're like paying them too much. And I'm like, but I should have like they're kind. Like they're
Right.
okay. Real quick, like I was on the rural bus late at night and what I didn't know, like I was doing a transfer from a big city to like the smaller bus and like the bus gets to like the last destination and I'm the last one on there. And like the guy, he speaks a little English and I was like, oh shit, is this the end? Because I really still needed to go further. He was like, no, on this time of day, this is as far as we go. And I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll just like get out and call a taxi. And he's like, you're not gonna find any taxis around here this late at night. And
Yeah.
I was like coming back from the US really late and I was like, well, fuck, like,
Mhm.
what am I about to do? I was a little nervous for a second. It must have showed on my face. But I didn't say anything. And he was like, where are you? Where do you live around? And I like, I tell him the local landmarks and he's like, okay, I'll take you for 200 pesos. And I was like, what? Like, that's like $11, by the way. This bus driver drove a city like rural bus like way out of the way up to my little house in the country in the mud late at night for 200 pesos and a beer from the gas station, which he didn't drink when he was driving.
Right.
for him to take home, he said. But yeah, that people here are just I like they're just nice people. There's
Yeah.
some genuineness to it that you somewhere lost in the US, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, that might not have been my water truck. It might have been the neighbors. You better come back.
It is really cool that you have like a water truck, but at the same time, it's ah, like I would be impatient. It's like whenever you order something online, like from Amazon, and then you're like looking out the door all the time to see whenever it arrives. The only difference is this is water.
I'm like, I just wanted to shower for real. Like I had plans to like go into town today and they're not happening because I was not about to like get on close proximity quarters buses with these people without a shower. Because to be honest, like I'm super gross and I didn't shower yesterday because I live all alone in Mexico and I didn't shower yesterday because I was like, like a little stripper washcloth action. I'm like
Mhm.
day, like it was rainy, like chilling, like fuck it.
Yeah.
I was definitely looking forward to the shower this morning. And when that water did not turn on, I was like, what the fuck? Like, learned a whole new experience. And now I'm waiting on a water truck still.
Like, can you get something to determine how much water's in there instead of just like looking in it?
No, apparently you're just supposed to check. So I'm just gonna have to like remember to like open that thing up like once a week and
Yeah.
check. Sure. Apparently I use a lot of water. Um,
I understand. I think I use a lot of water too. So I probably
like
have
$40 to fill it. And so it's a huge like tank, but I think it would normally last people like a month. And I went through it in like what, 2.5, 3 weeks. So maybe I use a little more than everybody else. So because I don't know, I gotta like wash my dog's bedding like every other day. Like I wash my own bedding like every 2 days. Like I'm kind of just weird and wash a lot of shit.
right.
And I have a jacuzzi bathtub here, and it's very enticing. Who doesn't want to like take a jacuzzi bath all the time? I didn't realize I was running on a tank of water. Um, which is a whole like another story. The hot water only goes for so long because I'm out here, a certain size
Mhm.
tank. So I am like, I'll run it till it gets hot as far as it'll go. And then something flew down on me. And then I will just keep like putting coffee pot water after
Mhm.
coffee pot water, like hot
Yeah.
water,
Right.
until it like, adds more, like, and my bath is not steaming hot. So it's not the funnest experience, but I still do get to take nice jacuzzi baths here. They're just a little more lukewarm than hot.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I love the sense of nature and stuff that you're talking about. I grew up in Kentucky. I still live in Kentucky and I travel, but I think most people don't have those kind of experiences, kind of how we were talking about earlier. Like most people don't know what it's like to rough it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that was like I wanted to do that. Like I enjoy camping and stuff, so I enjoy
Mhm.
sometimes like having to like rough it out. My parents, like, even though we were military, they're always kind of like country at heart. And so like sometimes we would live off base, like find, a rental or something, and they'd pick like a house in the country. And
Right.
like, they were like so into church. We weren't like around. We didn't go to movie theaters and all this like normal stuff anyway. So we were always like country outdoors. Like that was our source of fun.
Mhm.
So that's what I wanted to come back to. I just wanted to like frolic around the hills of the flowers and like hang out on the beach. And you can, but you frolic your ass down the hill to the beach, and it's wonderful until the end of the day you have to like hike like at a like 80% incline back up. Like yeah.
A lot of
um
physical activity.
I needed to lose some weight, so I was like, everybody's like, you didn't bring your car, and I was like, no, because it forces me to have to walk, and it forces me to use like the public
Yeah.
transportation and be around the locals
Right.
and get
You
to know
learn
them.
more that way too. Like,
I think,
right?
right? I think it's definitely like you could close yourself off if you like had your own car and you didn't like have to mingle as much.
Yeah. Like you wouldn't assimilate and learn the stuff that you need to be kind of successful in the environment, right? Because as you said, it was like culture shock, like completely different for you.
Yeah, it's completely different. Like
Yeah.
the foods, like there's a bigger town like about an hour away. And they have like a Walmart, and even like the Walmart is not like a US. I mean, it's like a Walmart in the US, but it's different. Like food here is different. Everything
Mhm.
tastes different a bit. Like I noticed there's a lot less like corn syrup and things. There's like less chemical processing. Um, so everything, it's a culture shock from food to the people to like your
Yeah.
surroundings to your transportation. I It's a nice challenge to have to go through.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, I would enjoy something like that just because it kind of helps you grow as a person. kind of like your development in sex work, it kind of helped you grow as a person. And then this is like, it gives you new tools. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
I
sounds
think
super
I need to
amazing.
like get back to just being like who I am, which is just like chill and outdoorsy and
Mhm.
calm instead of like the same like that everyone else tries to be, if that makes any sense. And so
Yeah.
that what moving here was about, like just being me, just
Yeah.
being calm and being at peace,
I fucking love
and
it.
hoping that I can create content that reflects that. And that's the kind of people that I would rather attract, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So I know earlier you were kind of talking about how you had some lipo before everything went crazy with COVID. Did you have any other body modifications, and kind of was it a positive experience?
So I have not had anything other than my teeth and then lipo. So everything's been positive. The problem with lipo was like I mean, maybe not we all, but I think a large majority of us, we all sat at home and ate a bunch of shit during COVID because we had
Yeah.
nothing else to do.
Right.
And we all came out of COVID a little chunkier than
Yeah.
we normally were. So I went and got lipo and got this like banging body, and then sat around for the rest of the year eating
Yeah.
shit, even though I just spent like 10 G's to get a flat tummy. And
Yeah.
I came out of COVID with a flat tummy, but like curvier than I started.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a fuck, that was bad timing. Like, and I didn't do good post-op care on
Mhm.
for myself. First off, like, you're supposed to get like lymphatic massages done after you
Oh
get it
yeah.
if you want it to look successful and it like to have good results. I wasn't able to get those done because everything was shut down. Like,
Mhm.
so I didn't have that. I was having to do it myself.
Yeah.
But it
Which
was
is
still a
kind of
good,
hard if you have to do it yourself. It's kind of hard.
it was painful.
Yeah.
It's very painful, but that's the only thing that I've ever had done. My boobs are natural, and I am should I say this? Here, I think this is fucking hilarious, okay? But I'm also stoned, so that could be it. But here's some irony. I've wanted a surgery for like 20 years almost, okay?
Okay.
It's something that it really bothers me. People are like, oh, I'm really into it. People are like, you should love yourself the way you are. People say,
Mhm.
don't get it done, it ruins your everything. I don't really care. It's something I've wanted for so long.
Right.
Uh, so how funny is it that, okay, so what I want to have done is my neighbor out here. Hear this? I've always really wanted labiaplasty. So it is
Okay.
like 5 to 7 G's in the US. And here in Mexico, there's some really great doctors. And I don't believe the hype that like, yes, I do believe that you can go and find some really cheap ones, and you
Right.
can be in like shady situations and you could have some
Yeah.
shady outcomes. However, there are big main hospitals with like GYNs and plastic surgeons that are, board certified and everything, and they're good. And the fact is, it is just like at least half the price of the US.
Yeah.
So I have an appointment with a client to take his virginity this
Mhm.
month. And then
Okay.
I will be using those funds to like re-virginify myself. No, I'm kidding.
I love it. I love it. And there's nothing weird about that. I fucking love it. Like, it's one of those things too, where just like you were talking about, you shouldn't have surgery for someone else anyway. It should be for you. If you're having surgery for someone else, you're going to regret it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Do it for yourself. I mean, for me, it's just like, okay, I don't like how it looks. And so like, and it wasn't something that I really like. I knew that I didn't like how I looked very much pre-porn, right? But I didn't realize how obviously porn, like I'm a natural blonde. I really have so many blonde moments. Like porn focuses on that that region. And if
Mhm.
you're not just super happy to be like, ta-da, look right here,
Yeah, all the time.
all the time,
Focus. Right.
not gonna be really successful in
Right.
filming, right? And so like I think you can go back and look at my films and I'm constantly like putting my hand like this or like, you
Mhm.
know, just yeah. And so this is something that I wanted to do for me for a long time. Not to mention, let's
Mm.
just talk if you have larger like labia lips and you like put on some lace panties, like your labia can get like cut and like stuck in like the lace and stuff and like tightening stuff and then you have a fat pussy and you like camel toe really bad.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like
Yeah,
some of it
I've had that happen.
and like some
Some
people
people are into it. Some people like that fat pussy that's sticking out. Like, I get it.
but for me, I've just always wanted one that looked a little different, and I am going to go ahead and do that, which
Yeah.
means, you know, you can't like, I wouldn't be able to film for like 4 to 6 weeks,
Right.
or like any pleasurable thing for 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah.
The idea of like,
I would feel like that was an eternity for like masturbation.
like, can I not even masturbate? Because like, oh my God, I can barely make it a day, let
You
alone
could
like,
like bust a stitch or something though.
yeah. So apparently you can't. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I figured like, well, look, you can go live on the beach in Mexico, take surf lessons, have fun, like experience new
Yeah.
culture. You can also happen to like get the surgery you've always wanted and be able to live in a cheap enough environment that you can like get by a month or a couple months of not working to recover and
Fuck yeah.
yeah. So that's my current plans. That's what I'm doing.
I love it. I fucking love it. I'm going to ask you 2 more questions and I'm going to let you get on with your day because I literally completely lost track of time because I love talking to you.
I'm sorry, we're talking forever. I talk too much.
No, you don't. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. Okay, so the first question I have for you is what are you interested in filming? I know earlier you were talking about like you wanted more bondage and stuff that's like not as typical. Do you have any specific kinks of your own?
Yeah, like if we could just film my kinks, like that would be super awesome. So like, can we just film a whole bunch of like gang bangs and like some actual kink.com stuff, you know, some like
Yeah.
bondage, some BDSM, like I'm more submissive, like I wish I would get like some cool stuff like that or like some Axel Braun, like, you know, like cosplay or like, you know, like mimic movies.
Mhm.
Like I love the acting portion of it. Like I just like Brazzers hired me back like no joke 10 plus times for just um acting roles, not even like mainstream sex roles. And it was just because like they knew I would show up on set and I would just like they would give me a character and they would let me just ad lib it because I would just like say the craziest thing off the top of my head. Like the director, Tony, would just like look like, where did that come from? Like this is so perfect. Like it made everyone laugh and like, you know, so I enjoy that part. Like I realized I really love acting. So that would be cool to do. But yeah, like I don't know, like let's just do like a bunch of bukkake and gangbangs and stuff like that and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucked my stepson's best friend again.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And I've noticed that the past few years, especially since the ordeal with COVID, like everything is like taboo family stuff. Like everything has taboo family stuff. And I'm just like I'm tired. Can we move on to the next scenes? Like the next big thing. I'm ready for it.
I definitely don't want to like, you know, kink shame anyone if that's like what they're into. Like,
Right.
you know, like and how can I like I participated in
Mhm.
those films, but like it's not my thing, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
like somebody like calling me mommy or like that kind of situation, like that is just kind of like weird to me. And I did it because it was what was being offered, and if I wanted to get where I wanted to get so far, then
Right.
that's good to do. But now I'm like, if I get offered, I probably might take it, but I might not either, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah, 100%. And I find that there's a lot of people that are kind of like, well, I'm not really into it, but I'm not into it. So yeah, I could do it because one, I'm getting paid, and two, because it's not terrible. Like I'm kind of interested, but at the same time, if I could do something else, I would choose to do this instead. So I think that's pretty common.
yeah, I've done like one girl on girl scene in my entire like little career so far.
What?
And it was honestly like my first girl experience really. So it was actually kind of freaking awkward. And we were like halfway through, and the director who I ended up becoming a PA for, like that was his first time meeting me, but we were like halfway through and he made some kind of comment. I was like, look, bro, like this is like my first time I've ever like eaten pussy. Like I don't know
Right.
to like, like hold on a minute. He was like, what? Like you never done a girl before? And I was like, no. And he was like, why didn't anybody tell me? And I was like, sorry, like, and that's not something like, okay, like threesomes, I enjoy that. Like I find women attractive for sure. And like threesomes can be fun, but like girl on girl content is not something that I love making. I'm not super into it. So I purposely just decline those bookings because I'm not gonna go out there and like fake it like that.
Yeah,
Because
for real.
the sex that I am gonna do on camera, I'm gonna actually like enjoy and like want it and not be like faking it. I don't ever want to fake it.
And it comes across like the vibes that you give on camera, especially if you have to fake it, it doesn't always come across as good. And I mean, if you're not performing well, it's like some people don't come back because maybe that's the first scene that they've ever seen of yours. And they're like, oh, well, I don't like the vibes of this. I don't like the way this person's acting. And you don't realize, hey, maybe this just wasn't the best scene. Maybe they just weren't that into it, or maybe it was not familiar for them. Maybe it was their first time, kind of like you. Maybe it was their first time and they just didn't know what to do really. And it's one of those things, like if you're not that into it, then you're not going to perform well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Or if you're not into your partner, and that's like another thing too with like in porn, you don't really find out, excuse me, you could get booked for a scene like a company like Naughty America will hit you up and like you'll get booked for a scene for their website. But and you'll accept it right in March for April. But you're not going to find out even who your scene partner is until a few days before the scene. And sometimes they could be somebody you just don't want to film with, or you've never filmed with before, and you don't imagine how hard it is to like not only like have sex with somebody you haven't had sex with before, but make it look like you've had sex with them before and you're enjoying it, even though you might not like have already can't stand the person. Because let me tell you, sometimes you could get to a set and before you even get like to the filming part, you've already heard this douchebag like talking like mad shit for like an hour on the side while like you're getting the makeup done, and you're like, wow, you are like definitely not somebody I would like want to fuck. Or like they just like aren't attentive to like how you're reacting in a scene, or like okay, if a girl is like arching her back like a fucking cat on Halloween, like maybe something isn't feeling great, or you're not doing something like some scene partners. There was a scene where they just kept plowing on through, and like I think that all can like change how a scene comes out to look. So I hate that in porn you're just given like a few shots really, and if you're not like knocking it out of the park, it's hard to keep getting rebooked. And I feel like it's kind of not fair because you can do it, but it takes some time. It's a craft you have to learn to like put your body in certain positions, like practically every single time it's the same shit over and over, right? Like they all want the same positions, and they want you like wide as possible, and like they want you to, ride the dick for 14 minutes straight without stopping or
like adaptability is huge.
yeah. So like if
Yeah.
I just feel like if some directors and stuff gave girls like, I think I've watched a couple things in porn happen. There's some girls who get into porn and they do like literally like 1 or 2, 3 scenes and they go from like 0 to like a couple 100,000 followers. I mean, they just like blow up like practically overnight. And you're like, how the hell did that happen? Like, wow, like what superpower did they have?
Right.
Then there's some that like get in and they're pretty popular and they film quite a bit of stuff and then it just kind of falls off. And like, because it will plateau, I think it does for every single person. You like get into porn, you're new, so everybody wants to hire you. So you're like boom, 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 boom. And then it like you shot for every company right now. There's already current videos of you out. So you're just kind of having to wait. And like in that waiting time is where that's why they say like a porn person's career only lasts like a certain amount of months. What do they say? Like 6 months to
6 months. Yeah.
like that, right?
Most of them a year.
When you hit that plateau, you start to panic, like nobody's hiring me. So you just give up, right? And you're like,
100%.
they don't love me. No, I don't have any fans. Like, fuck this. And you just like throw in the towel. And I think what I've seen is there's some girls who, if they continue to just create themselves and their brand and the image they want to be, whatever, however unique that might be, and they just keep holding on through that plateau, like they gain their own fans.
Oh yeah.
And they start becoming a bigger following and then companies want them again, right? And then next thing you know, now more companies want them and then they're like, so there's just like a few different ways that it seems to go in porn. And yeah, my goal is just to kind of like keep holding on like with my pinky finger and just working on myself. And like maybe when maybe not. But maybe when I like get my little surgery done and like I've been a little like disconnected from the world and like more in tune with the earth and with myself and love myself, I will be able to portray a different vibe that will attract what I want, and like I can be successful still in porn. So that's what I'm trying to do. And if it were all to end today and I would never to get another scene from anybody, I would still be like, holy fucking shit. Like a Kansas girl, like filmed with Brazzers, Naughty America, was in Hustle magazine, a Penthouse. You know what I mean? Like all these, I just don't want to leave companies out. Naughty America, Mean Bitches, like on Evolve Fights, like all these different websites that some of them are very big. And like I got to PA for Mike at Adriano. I got to like work for Nicolette Shea. Like I got to be around some like amazing people. I got to like go on a few dates with like a Hall of Fame porn star guy. And like, I got to experience a really dope freaking lifestyle the past 2 years, and I accomplished way more than I thought I would, because it goes back to when I was PAing for the person I look up to.
Yeah.
Not that their name has been said in this.
Right. No, it hasn't.
But when I told them I wanted to film porn, she said to me, no one will ever hire you. You're like in your 30s, you're curvy. Like the most anybody would ever pay you is like $300 for a scene. And when she said that to me, I was like, you know what? Fuck you. And like, go ahead and give me my money, like run me my check. I don't want to work for you anymore. And whenever people ridicule me or try to tell me I can't do something,
it's because they're intimidated, right?
That's when I'm like, okay, now I'm really about to go do this because you just told me I couldn't. And so when I got those, like, I know that I will never have the level. I mean, I don't want to say that I know that I will never, I don't anticipate I'll ever have the level of fame that this girl does, right? We're talking millions of followers, like top name. However, I came way the fuck further than she said I would ever be able to do. I came
Fuck
way
yeah.
the fuck further than I thought I'd ever do. Like somebody said, what would your like dream in porn be? I was like, I hope I would film for Brazzers at least once someday, or
Yeah.
like being in a magazine would be
And you
dope.
already did that.
I did like all the shit that I wanted to do, like the
Mm-hmm.
everything that I put like my sights
Fuck yeah.
on, like I did that. So yeah, if it all ended, okay, I had a
Yeah.
dope one. But
Fuck yeah.
yeah, I don't plan on like throwing in the towel or anything yet. I'm just kind of like at a little plateau. I'm just vibing with myself, and
Right.
my fans will still be there. They're still
Fuck
here.
yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was one of the biggest things that I have also seen in the industry and just in like any kind of adult work altogether. Like people feel this stress to become someone or something for sales. Like a lot of people are like, oh, well, I have to get a boob job to make any kind of money. And a lot of people do. They're like, well, if I want to be successful in adult entertainment, I need to get my breasts done. I need this tiny waist. I need a fat ass. I need to look a certain way. Like the Barbie, like cookie cutter kind of thing. And I mean, yeah, there's a place for that. But, you know, there's also a place for people with normal bodies.
Yeah.
Like there's a
It's
place for everyone.
it's like it's so refreshing, like, and like sometimes mind-boggling really when you think of like, wow, I have fans, like people who like really find me attractive, like they're into me, like, and they pay to like, and you know, speak to me or see
Mhm.
me, like how cool is that, that yeah, we are all so different, and I might be, you know, mid 30s and curvy, but there's people that love that, and I love that
Mhm.
can all be, you know, I was told, oh, you have tattoos, nobody's gonna hire you, this kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
no, like nowadays people are like, there's somebody for everybody.
Yeah. And I feel like they're accepting tattoos more in the industry nowadays.
I think so. Definitely a lot more.
Because
Yeah.
I have seen it more. And I've also seen more people actually becoming tattooed. And then people from our generation are also the ones that's starting to run shit. And we are more accepting. Like,
Yeah.
you're not much older than me. I know you think you are, but you're not. I'm 31, thank you.
Oh, wow. You're
But I love to see that growth. I love to see that people are becoming more open-minded because I mean, there should be a place for everyone. It shouldn't be one of those things where you have to be this specific person or you're not going to make it in the industry. Like that's fucking stupid. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, it
Because
is.
we all have
And,
different views and different likes, you know?
and I feel like if you have an agent in porn, you're pushed to be, there's a few different molds, right? But you're just pushed into one of those like few molds that there are. And like the
Right.
agents try to shape you that way. And like,
Yeah.
it's cool, but you're gonna get to a point where you're gonna like, I don't know, like have an identity crisis or something. You're just gonna kind of like lose your shit because you're gonna not recognize who you are anymore.
Mhm.
Because you're like being molded into like this whole character that somebody wants you to be that you're not, like.
Yeah.
So
Because if you have to wear a mask, it's going to get heavy.
yeah,
And after it does, you're either going to burn out or you're going to have a midlife crisis like you were talking about. Like mentally, you have to keep an eye on your mental health in the industry because if you don't, it will consume you and then you're going to be fucking lost. You know what I mean?
that is probably like the most important thing. Like
Yeah.
you in like porn, I think if people are asked like, what's your advice? Like what do I need to be able to do this? Like you need to have like convictions of your own that you're willing to stand on, like regardless of the scenario or the company or the big name person you're next to. And you
Mhm.
also have to be like super confident in yourself and like know who you are, because if not, you're gonna get lost and it's going to be very disorienting. And I feel like I kind of got to that place. And so
Mhm.
like, yeah, I think there's like I haven't followed very closely for a long time, but for at least a while. I'd like to use like Avery Jane as a good example. Like, I feel like she started out, I think she did some porn, right? I feel like she kind of like did did some stuff that she was hired for that was just like what she was given, right?
Right.
But then she kind of like was like it plateaued and she went and just did what she wanted to film. She films like her unique style, like
Mhm.
her kinks, her stuff, like that's all she filmed. And she like, you know, did her hair how she wanted to do it and like
Right.
didn't just like fit into this mold that as a black woman like in porn like I think they wanted her to be.
Right.
And like look at how successful she is now, right? And
Fuck
like
yeah.
how beautiful and like glowing and awesome like she looks. And I feel like it's because she just in my perspective, it looks like at some point she just realized like let me just be
Yeah.
me.
Own it. Yeah.
Right? Be who I am. And if you're with it, you're with it. And if you're not, you're not. And then people just loved like that genuineness. And I mean,
Fuck
I
yeah.
can name off several other like stars, like um I always feel like I say her name wrong, but yeah, so I'm not even gonna go there. But there's a lot of girls that you notice like they gain a little fan base and then things kind of plateau and they
Mhm.
don't really take off until they find who they are and they
Right.
find their little nook and like niche or whatever. And everybody keeps telling them like, I don't know what my niche is. I don't know what my niche is. And everybody's like, your boobs, obviously
Well,
your
you got to
boobs.
look to find it, right?
And
It's
I'm
one of
like,
those, like, you got to search for it kind of things.
right, like, yeah, okay, my tits. Like, I get that that's like my focus on my body, right? Like, that's what people like for a lot of my fan bases. But like, maybe that's not the kind of like content I want to put out. Maybe I want
Yeah.
to like put out more like, you know, like artistical stuff or, you know,
Mhm.
something more unique. And like, maybe I'll lose some people, but maybe I'll gain
Right.
some more. But either way, I will be enjoying it more and I'll be true to
Mhm.
myself. And that's what it's all supposed to be about.
For sure. And you're going to attract your crowd too. That's the great thing about it. So the evolution of your art over time, yeah, you're not going to start with the same fans and end with those fans. Like some of them, yeah, because some people are there for you, but you're going to find people that are there for whatever you're putting out at the time too. That's
Okay.
like I was talking to a lady that didn't shave. Okay, she didn't shave her armpits or her bush or whatever. Well, she decided she was going to shave her bush, and she lost like a significant amount of her followers just because she shaved. It
Mhm.
happens, you know.
You change your hair color, you change
Yeah.
like the smallest thing, and you literally can lose a bunch of fans over like that decision. And so it's kind of like you kind of feel stuck like being something that you know, like
Right.
again, we talked about this at the beginning. We're just humans. I'm a human, you're a
Yeah.
human. We all are. We're not machines.
Yeah.
So let us just do what we want to do and be who we want to be.
Yes. And you have to evolve. I mean, human beings evolve. It's like music, whenever you see a musician, whenever they start out, and then you kind of see where they are 10 years later, they're not going to be the same person. They're not going to have the same lyrics. They're not going to have the same vibes. They're going to be a little different. If they're not, then there's something fucking wrong. Right?
Right? Kind of boring, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I don't even know how they keep putting shit out at that point. Because I mean, it's another reason why you do collaborations, right? It's why you collab with people, it's why you work for different companies. It's kind of one of those things. If you're doing the same thing all the time, people feel like, oh, well, I've already purchased this. Why would I purchase it again? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, a huge push for me, I feel like when I got into porn was everybody's like, you gotta go make content with everybody. You gotta go make a bunch of content. And maybe on some level there is some regret that I should have made some more content, right? But like I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to go sleep with 50 different content creators that everybody else had slept with to go make content that everyone else had already made the
Yeah.
same sex tape, you know, like same hotel room or living room or whatever, like and people are like, oh, you're missing the bag by not doing that. I mean, yeah, maybe I was, but then when I do like come out with a video with like, you know, Johnny Sins or Jay Romero or Chris Rail, like they're few and far between.
Right.
And like they're more appreciated and valued because
Yeah.
not just putting out. Kudos to the girls that can. I just can't.
Right. Yeah.
Just can't. I hope
Sure.
so someday maybe like be like making a bunch of content. Like I said, I'm not afraid of dicks. Like give me all the gangbangs you want. I'm all
Right.
about it.
Give them to me all at once.
Like I got like 10 things going on in my mind at once. So give me like 10 different dicks. Like that's perfect for me. But yeah, so I mean, not afraid of sex. It just didn't want to like make the same content like
Right. You want to
every-
spice it up, and you don't want to be like, I mean, yeah, I'm good with all the collaborations. Like I find everybody to like bring something to the table, but at the end of the day, if like the only thing different is the person and it's the same position, like the same moans, like everything's timed, like that's not really exciting for me. I might be one of those weirdo people. Like I need something spicy. I need something that makes me feel, you know what I mean?
same. So I just don't put out a lot of content because I got to really be into it and really like proud of my work to put it out there.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so my last question for you. I know it took me like 20 minutes to get to this last question.
Sorry. My fault.
No, it's not your fault at all. It's mine because I love talking to you. Okay, so my last question is, if you could say something to someone that is struggling with desire or with getting into the industry, maybe they're like just a baby model, a baby actress, a baby escort, just a baby, anything in sex work, what kind of advice would you give them?
Oh, like who you are when you start, like that little girl or that little woman that you are, like hold on to her. That confidence you have, that fire and desire that you feel when you're first starting out, and those big dreams you have, like don't ever like let go of those. Don't ever squash them. Don't ever let somebody tell you that you're not enough. Don't ever let somebody place a value on you. You place your own value on yourself. And like, I promise you, if you like just continue to love yourself and stay true to yourself and value yourself, you will attract that sameness to you. So if you think that you're worth a certain amount for a scene or a booking, or like as an escort or like whatever, and like other people tell you like that's way too high, like that's nobody will do that, like you're like you a man will tell you you're not worth that much, like don't ever lose that girl who had that belief and that fire and that drive. So that's what best advice I would give.
Yes, I fucking love it. I fucking love it. Know your fucking value and don't let it decrease because of someone else's opinion.
Yes.
It's
It
amazing.
sounds a little cliche, but I think definitely in this whole industry, you can begin to let people's opinions, because everyone has an opinion about you. You can begin to let it like change how you think about yourself. So never lose that like beginning person, I think. Yeah.
For sure. I fucking love it. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Forbidden Depths. Make sure you get on over to London's page, because I'm going to tell you, at London Rose XXX on Twitter, I'm going to tell you there's some amazing stuff over there. She gives teasers, like even her pinned is fucking amazing. Like I'm looking at it right now. So make sure you get on over there, give her a follow, and she has all kinds of amazing shit that you want to be a part of. Also, if you're a company looking to book her, reach out, because she does self booking, right?
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate the plug. And thank you so much for having me on the show and spending all this time listening to my stoned babble.
I fucking loved it. Thank you so much again for coming, and thank you guys for joining us. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, it's Queen Frostbitten again, your host. I just want to remind you that you can follow us on YouTube at Forbidden Depths. That's FORBIDDEN DEPTHS. or over on Twitter at the number 4 BIDDEN DPODCAST. Remember to always stay educated, consensual, and safe. We'll see you on the next show.